Alright, welcome back to another Python practice problem video. Today we're going to continue on CodeSignal. I've shown this on the channel before. It's a free website. You can go ahead and create an account and try your own hand at some of these problems. And to me, I think it's a good idea to do this no matter how good you think you are. Not that I'm saying I'm good by any means, because I'm not, but just saying no matter how good you think you are, it's always helpful to do these things because it keeps you sharp, and that's my opinion. I thought let's do this one together. I want to show you my solution, and then we can check out afterwards the best user submitted Python solution. I think it's pretty clever. It's not what I thought of, and we'll see my thought process here. And hopefully this just gets the ball rolling for you too when you do some practice problems. But anyway, we're going to be given an array of strings. We're going to return another array containing all of its longest strings. So here's an example. We have some strings in this array varying from length 3 to length 2. And then length 3 is obviously the largest. So we're going to return an array with all of the length 3 strings. So let me show you how I solve this. I like to do these in VS Code before I submit them on the site, just because I like to run them as I program it and print out things as I go down. And so here is our function, and then I have a test case down here, which is the same test case that they gave us as an example. And so the first thing that came to mind is, why don't I sort the array? So input array dot sort, and there are some parameters we can give it. We can give it what key are we sorting this off of. In our case, it's going to be the length of each item in this array or list, in our case, since it's Python. However, if we print this out and just see what it looks like, so print input array, array, we run this, it is putting the largest value at the back. So there's actually another parameter. We can say reverse, and that's going to be equal to true. If we run this now, the largest value or values are going to be at the front of the array. So what I can do now, I know the largest value is going to be the very first one now, because the very first one is going to have the highest length, or multiple of these values are going to be at the maximum of this one's length. So let me go ahead and grab that length. So let's say L is equal to the length of the input array, now that it's sorted, of index 0, so this guy right here. And then let me get a return array, which is just at the start going to be an empty array. And here we can go ahead and loop through the new input array and say, as long as the length of the items in the input array, the new sorted input array, are equal to the length of the very first item, we'll add that or append that to the return array, and then we'll go ahead and return that return array. So for x in input array, if the length of x is equal to L, let's return array dot append that value x. And then what I'm also going to do, I'm going to say else return array. And the reason I'm doing this is because if it's like this, there might be smaller valued strings after. We don't want to loop through all of those strings because they might be, this array might be pretty long. Like it might have, I don't know. I forget what the constraints they gave us. Maybe it's not going to be that long, but no, it's actually going to be 10 or less. But let's say it is very long. We want to return it once we get to smaller strings because we don't care about the rest. So that's my thought process there with the else statement. And then at the very end, if they're all the same length, we're never going to reach this return statement. So let's at the end return array. And now let's see what this output looks like. I guess I got to print it. The new solution. And here we just have the 3 strings that are length 3 because they are the largest. So I'm going to copy all this and paste it into the site. Make sure the spacing's good. And we'll run the tests. And these all pass, and I'll submit. And all 300 tests passed. I guess that's what it means. I don't know. However, let's look at the best solution. I thought this was pretty clever, something I didn't think about doing. I don't think mine's terrible. but I think theirs is pretty good too. So if we look at theirs, they do a max function, and then they would go ahead and turn every item in this input array into a length value. So it gets the maximum of all of those length values. And then they go ahead and do a list comprehension. They say for every item in that input array, if the length is equal to this maxed value length, add it to this list, and then we'll go ahead and return this list. So they do it in 3 lines of code, which is crazy. So this might end up being faster in mine because they aren't sorting it like I am. They're just grabbing the length of each value in that array and getting the maximum. But other than that, it's pretty similar. It's just that they're using list comprehensions. So if you like this video, feel free to subscribe. That way you don't miss any in the future. And I hope to see you in a future video.